Hello, it's Logan here again. We're back with another review, and this time we're doing Prison Architect. Once again, I'm joined by my faithful companion for the reviews. It is Apps. How you doing?
All good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Faithful? I don't know.
I don't know about
Companion?
It sounds almost like I'm a subordinate, which I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
I'm somehow the ringleader.
Yeah.
Just by being drafted in to prompt some answers.
Concerning.
Somehow given sidekick status when he's running the show. Right, so we're here and we're doing Prison Architect, which I didn't expect.
No, nor did I.
Come out the woodwork.
Always the best ones, I say.
So how's this come about? When there's I think there's a fair few decent games out at the moment. And there has been probably first quarter this year, and somehow we've got Jurassic World getting a look in, and then Prison Architect. What's going on?
Well, Jurassic World's the problem that's caused Prison Architect. That's the, I've forgotten the bloody word for
Cause and effect, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what started all this off. That's where it's incepted this idea of playing these simulation and management games, because I enjoyed Jurassic World Evolve so much that I thought I've got loads of these games sitting on Steam that I've not played, and not all of them offer you a campaign or a start and a finish. Some of them are like sandboxes only, so you just play as much as you want and then kind of come back and then say, I think I've played enough of that now. But Jurassic World Evolution, as we know, had a campaign that went through, and so did Prison Architect. So that's what caused this 2019 edition of Prison Architect to be unearthed and played. But it's been sitting there for years. 3, 4, might even be 5 years. I don't know.
In the library on the back burner.
It's been sitting there, and it was purchased originally as like a crowdfunded operation, and it was that paper fuck who put it on my radar. Now,
Indie Paper.
Back in the day when he used to play things other than Guild Wars 2, he was a champion of all these indie games that were appearing, and he said, "Look at this, Prison Architect."
Which, can I add, are largely took for a reason.
Well, there is that problem with them, but I don't know what's worse, just playing that Guild Wars all the time, or at least having a go at the fresh ones, the fresh indies that are lurking. But yeah, he kind of put it on my radar, and we both got it in early access. I think it was like a weird like package. We helped crowdfund the game, and then eventually it came to Steam and got an official release in 2015. But we were kind of there before that, I think. I'm pretty sure we were
paying Alan's wages.
Well, Alan was, he couldn't believe his luck when that happened. He was loving life, as people were paying before it's even been half developed, which is a madness really when you think of it that way. But in its first few weeks, I guess another thing that I knew of it as well. It wasn't just like paper went, here's this game, and I was like, oh, what's that?
It's not like you to go in blind, especially when he recommends something.
No, you have to query a lot of it. But they at that time, I think they sold like 2 million copies in the crowdfund stage in the early few weeks of it, and made $10.7 million in pre-order sales just for the alpha. So that, I remember seeing news stories about that, and I was like, whoa, where's this come from?
Yeah, what's this?
Yeah, exactly. And so it was sitting there, and I thought I at that point I was invested in games and then thinking, when they're done, I'll play them. I've since stopped doing that. I haven't done that for a couple of years. I think I did a Kickstarter campaign maybe 2 years ago as an experiment, because I think the plan was I was going to document that journey, and never did. I can't remember what the game's called. I think it's called Need to Know, but it's not. That's all gone now. It's still being developed, but I've not kept in touch with what's going on. I'm just hoping I'll get an email one day saying it's done, and then I'll play it. But yes, this is at a time when I used to buy stuff, play maybe an hour, and go, oh yeah, this is fun. I'll wait for the game to be finished, and then I'll come back. And that's exactly what I did, albeit 5 years later. And then here we are in 2019, staring down the barrel of a Prison Architect review.
Who would have thought?
No,
What's
exactly.
that? It's one of the ones that come good in terms of at least having a game out there. Then
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's nice to see there is a light at the end of the tunnel of these games, because there was a period in like 2012 and a few years after that where just everything was crowdfunded, everything was kickstarting, and you just
Shenmue.
well, that's due to come. It seems like 2019 is the year of everything coming to fruition. So it's good to see that these things do eventually land, and they don't just go up the shit pan and disappear.
It's always a concern.
Yeah.
So, sorry, my voice has gone. So, in terms of the genre, we've already established that. We know basically build your own prison, right?
Yeah.
But what is it? Is there anything around that? Or is it, do you start off with a plot of land and a one cell and you just expand it? Or
Yeah, well, there's two ways you can play it. You can play it as a sandbox, so you literally choose how big you want the land to be, other modifiers like the amount of money you get, and how difficult. You can change difficulty things of it, whether you want prisoners to have gangs. There's all different toggles you can do. It's quite interesting looking through that. You can make a really challenging scenario for yourself almost in sandbox mode, and in that case you start completely from scratch. You build the outer wall to start with, because that's probably the most important thing. You build a doorway to shepherd the prisoners in, and then you think, right, now I need to start building cells, holding cells, canteen, all that good stuff, and start from scratch. Then there's actually a campaign or a story mode, which is what I spent most of my time in. I've played 15 hours of this, and I ran through the campaign on it, and again, the mechanics don't change. You're still going to be building prisons, but you start off probably halfway through, in most cases, a prison, and there's normally a set scenario, a set goal that you've got to work towards. So the first one, for instance, is the governor has agreed that they're gonna take on death row inmates, and your first small task is to make sure the prison has an electric chair and everything you need to conduct and sentence people to death and carry it out in the prison. And then as time goes on, they get more complex. I think there's 5 sort of campaign levels, which doesn't sound a lot, but they take quite a bit of time. And they've all got different kind of start, middle, and ends. With halfway through it, but right, you've done that now. Now, can you get this? And then you can move to the next one. So, depending on how you play it, there's those 2 ways. And then the final way to play it is, I think it's called escape mode or something like that. But basically, you take control of one of the prisoners and you try and escape the prisons.
that's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not. If that was the whole game, you'd be worried playing that. You'd be like, right, what is this? But as a little add-on, it's quite fun. Like, you can try and break out of other people's prisons that they've created on the internet and share them and whatnot, or you can make your own and see if you can get out of it. And during that, it's quite deep. You can build a gang up whilst you're in the prison that assist you and help you and all that, those bits and pieces. So yeah, there's 3 sort of main ways to play it, I'd say.
Nice. By the way, how much did you pay for it? Do you remember? I'm asking a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. I don't think it was I think there was different tiers at that time, and I've got a feeling me and Paper went down. It was all in US dollars, and I think we paid $20 US for one, and it gave us access to the game, a few other bits and pieces like digital content, and also the option, if we wanted to, is to have ourselves in the game as convicts. So
right, okay.
We both wrote a little bio and submitted that. I don't know whether... Actually, I know mine's in there because I found it. I couldn't find Paper, so I don't know what he did there. He's not in there as far as I know.
Probably the bio was probably illiterate.
Yeah, well, if you've seen that Concord versus Concord yesterday in those groups, then I mean, they can't put that in the game, can they? If that sort of base error is being made.
Sorry, that's really tickled me.
It's true. It's what happened.
The true story. So basically, they've got a couple of different modes in there for you.
Yeah.
which is good. Do you know how much it's retailing for roughly as we speak?
I don't, but I can certainly find out if we talk about something else. So
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
The multitasker.
Yeah.
So, in terms of the art style and the graphics, for some reason in my head I've got kind of 8-bit graphics. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know what bits they are, but it's top down 2D really.
Okay.
And it's simplistic. You know, it's not like
Original GTA?
got a little bit more guts about it than that. The characters, a bit more guts about it than that. It's not like Jurassic World, which had sort of a 3D tilt on it, and the models were really well done and whatnot. It was not quite like that, but I think it's a very deliberate style. Yeah, like the characters as they move on, like you can see the prisoners. You can click on their bios and see them and see what they're in for, how long they've got left, when they're due for release, all that good stuff. And they are kind of shown they don't have any legs, it's just a head and a body, which sounds shit, but looks right in this world because it's top down, quite simplistic. They've got little hands and whatnot, but that's the level you're talking at. We're not talking about full models walking around with trousers and whatnot. They're just like little avatars that have have a yellow top on and their head and then an arm with a weapon or something. Yeah, a bit like Lego, but not. If you take the legs off them, that might be a way of
Lego.
Rip the legs off them. Might be wrong.
60 FPS.
I don't know. It's 2D, isn't it? It's because it's not really. It's not a game in motion. Probably was. You could run this at 10 and it wouldn't matter too much.
Superb audio.
Audio's always good. Yeah. Bustling prison with a load of racket makes you want to just execute the lot of them when you hear the fucking noise they make. Enough to drive you fucking balmy. But on that
does
front,
the job. I think is what we're saying.
Yeah. In terms of price, £15 on Amazon. UK pounds.
Yeah.
$29.99 on Steam store.
Of course, that's rough. That's dear.
Yeah, for some reason I had that in my. That would probably equate to £25 here. Yeah, that is a little bit. I don't know if it's gone up since it's one of those things because I've had it so long. It's hard to look at that and say, well, that's too much or too little. So I paid less than that when I had it in early access. Typically, you do pay less, but now I guess if you're coming in cold, you might go, It might concern people.
Well, we can discuss that shortly.
Wow.
So, I guess we'll move on to the game's actual structure. I think by the sounds of it, it's relatively linear, isn't it? And you as you go through, I guess you earn more money, you can build more stuff, and move on that way.
Yeah, so it's more around hiring the right people to get more bits and pieces, if that makes sense. So, by hiring like a warden, for example, that will give you access to just base level stuff, and then yes, you can use the money that you earn to unlock other aspects. So you might want to unlock armed guards at some point, so you can use money to unlock that, and there's like a little, almost like a skill tree. I think it's called bureaucracy. You go into this string that's called bureaucracy, and it's got loads of different options in there. You might have, I don't know, like electrified fences, you might want that. CCTVs, again, something you might want, you can add that. If you want to build an infirmary or a place for people to heal up if they've been beaten up or a fight's broken out, then you need a nurse to do that. And yeah, it all works in that sense. And there's some interesting stuff you can do, like you can get dog handlers if you want those. Armed guards are quite cool, but they're devastators because they don't take any shit, and you might end up with a bloodbath in your hand if the prisoners start getting out of hand. I guess that's one of the good things about it, is that you've got all these different options you can use to try and control the prisoners, but at the same time they all have like basic needs that you need to fulfill in terms of the amount of free time they get, the amount of food they get, the quality of the food. And if you start repressing them too much, if they get a chance, they will revolt, and it can turn nasty really quickly. It's interesting how the more repressive you are, the more at risk you are of your prison ending up in a fucking burning heap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it can do. If it can go wrong very quickly, because you can't keep an eye on all of them.
No.
So some of them are like plotting to do stuff and escape. Some are just there to try and escape. So they like try and dig tunnels and stuff, and the sniffer dogs can find that. And so it does get quite complicated the more you go into it. The more as you take on more high security convicts, you know, you have different requirements for them. So some of them need to be just be in isolation all the time. But are they going to sit there and do nothing is the question, and sometimes they're not.
Problem causers.
They are problem causers. Just keeping them, you've got to give them a little few breadcrumbs to make sure they don't go mad, because the riots do get out of control. And you can call in armed response units rather than sort of putting your guards at risk, but they just blow them away. They don't fuck about, and that's obviously as much as some of them are scum. Like, do they need to be blown away? Is the query.
Extermination squad comes in.
Yeah, they sort of shoot and ask questions later. Must be based in America, this.
I'm sure it is. So, gameplay and controls. I'm guessing it's point and click jobby.
Top down 2D construction management. So, you know, you drag boxes to build rooms or whatever and run the prison, and you have to manage various aspects of that, as I mentioned. So building the cells, the facilities, planning not planning, but like connecting utilities such as like water and electricity, making sure they've all got that. That's all underground. There's a separate sort of like map for that. It kind of takes away the gloss of it and just looks underground. Hiring and assigning staff to certain tasks, whether it's guards or handymen or cleaners or wardens, or setting up, I don't know, like a job for the convicts. You can do that. You can have like a cleaning service. So some of those guys that want to work, they come and do the cleaning for you. So you don't have to hire a load of janitors. But you need to kind of like unlock and recruit staff to get, as I said, get more aspects of it, and obviously run the financial side of things. Make sure that you're in the plus and making money and keeping your inmates content. I guess the financial thing is quite important, because these are not state-owned prisons. These are private prisons. So the whole function is to make money, and you make money by taking in convicts and not letting them out. Basically, you get fined, and all sorts of things can go wrong if they escape or if there's loads of deaths. So that's the balance, really.
I was going to ask you how the financial bit works. That's answered it.
Yeah, I mean, if you take on a load of high risk people, you get more money, but then you may have to invest a lot more to keep them secure. Because although it's called prison architect, you, in the sense that you are an architect, you build the planning and you build the rooms and what's a cell, what's a shower, all that stuff. But you're also a governor as well, because you have to manage the daily run-ins of what's going on. Like, you can set a schedule for the prisoners. You can say, okay, at 8 o'clock you get up and have your breakfast, then you go for a shower, then it's free time, then it's lock up, and you can change all that and meddle with it and try and keep your convicts content. And just gives you a hell of a lot of options in there to fiddle around with. And that's the beauty of some of these sandbox games, is that, you know, you can choose to be as hands-on, or in some cases a little bit more hands-off if you want to.
No, sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, in some aspects, you can, if you want to, build towards making your prison more of a reform prison. So people go there and actually are encouraged to not reoffend when they release, and you can set that as like one of your goals almost, is that every time someone leaves the prison, you want the reoffending rate, i.e. them coming back, to be 20% rather than 50%. So you can put services and buildings in place that cater around kind of trying to, you know, rehabilitate, for lack of a better term, the prisoners, so they don't come back.
Then you call in the extermination squad and they'll get put down.
If they misbehave, that sometimes needs to happen, doesn't it? The thing is, like, your guards are at risk. If they all gang up on one guard, they can kill the guard. Like, they'll kill him, They ain't got any qualms about that. And you'll find there's a shank somewhere, and you're like, right. Then you can put them in lockdown, which means they're all just locked up in their cells. No one gets out. But the longer you leave them in there, when you let them out, there's always a chance that it won't go. It won't go as planned.
Do they throw shit on the walls?
I don't think they do. No, I haven't seen them do that. It's more around hitting, fighting, and sometimes killing each other. And depending on what types of people you've got in there, sometimes that'll be more volatile or less volatile. Like the low security ones generally aren't as bad, but as soon as you start ramping it up, they can be right pains in the arse. And you think, is it worth just calling in the extermination squad to blow him away in his cell? An option here.
I like the way that's like the nuke. Like if it all goes to pot, you just go, right,
Get them in.
We'll start again. Press that reset button that we've talked about before.
Well, the trouble is, what these silly fuckers have done. Some of the campaigns I've run, they've got out of hand. They're in the cells where the showers are. They've set fire to the place, and they're locked in. And the fire spread and killed them all. It's like, well, I'm not going to send in.
What was the plan there?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they accidentally set fire to it. I assume they thought I would call the fire brigade in to put the fire out, but I let it just burn and went, well, if you all die from that, it's your own fault. And only once it's complete smouldering ash will I bring the fire crew in to put it
So
out.
you just watched them burn?
Yeah, I left them. Well, don't be misbehaving. There's a lot of work to put that together.
Turned a blind eye to it and went, oh.
Yeah. Didn't go down well with the board, but, you know. Back to experiment.
Had to file a report for that, and it did not go down well.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so is there anything else about this game that we haven't discussed that you think's worth noting?
No, I don't think so. I think that there's a few ways you can play it. The three main ways that I've mentioned. There is a multiplayer mode. I've not tried that. I don't know how that works, but you
can get paper off Guild Wars. You could give it a go.
Yeah, no, exactly, and yeah, no, it's a decent overall experience. It's quite complex at times. Sometimes there's a few issues with pathfinding for your guards. Like I had not guards even, like the people that build, like the handymen that build the structures for you. A couple of times I had them build a room and then build themselves into the room. And I thought, all right, you surely would leave the gap just to get out and then do the final bit from the outside. I mean, I was going to put a door on there anyway, but it just annoyed me that it was stuck in there. I thought, what's going on there?
Can you imagine that happening?
And he was standing there like, oh, what do I do now? And I was like, well, I don't know, mate. You've done it to yourself.
So what, you have to put a door on it and they go, thank God for that.
Yeah, they go and let him out.
Keep him sweating for a little while. Go, I'll put a door on that at some point.
Yeah, it's madness. But yeah, no other specific business, I don't think.
Okay, good. That leads us on quite nicely then to the official Dimp grading. So
yeah, Prison Architect overall was a pleasant experience. 14 hours clocked in. Most of that was running through they call it an expanded story mode because I don't think it started with this sort of 5-chapter mode. I think it's 5 chapters. And that serves as a really good tutorial, if nothing else. Like you'll run through most of the scenarios during that story, and it's got a little bit of narrative there, which is always appreciated. And then yeah, it's basic in some aspects, but in other aspects it's quite complex. It's got tools and balances. It's not going to change the world, but I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10 bronze seal of approval. Prison Architect.
Not bad really for a crowdfunded game, eh?
No, and what's interesting is earlier this year, Paradox Interactive, who they are responsible for doing a lot of sim games and other bits and pieces and publishing all sorts of PC-based games like that. They actually purchased the rights for Prison Architect. So
could do something with it.
Yeah, I imagine this will stay as it is, but number 2 could be down the line. I played this on the PC, but it's available on Mac, obviously, Linux, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Switch, iOS, Android. Like, I don't know how they play on the mobile devices, but no excuse if you've got it sitting there. You maybe give it a go.
There you go. Maybe give it a go. Dimp consumer advice. Once again, you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Right. I don't think there's much else for us to say on this one, but thanks for your time. And ta-da.